we take calls again and to hear from the audience as well. So tonight we are starting from what Tambuwal, the leading figure in this their opposition coalition against Paulu. So he was a guest on Charles' program on Arise TV yesterday. And this is more or less like a follow-up to what happened or transpired during his supposed birthday colloquium in Abuja. So they were talking about the reasons why they are pulling forces together in order to rescue Nigeria. Then, as you know, it was asked of the possibility of Peter Obi becoming the presidential candidate of the coalition in order to challenge Tinubu in 2027. So Tambuwal, Charles was pretty much like emphasizing on the success, or should I say, the achievement of Peter Obi and the obedient, and also their significance in this political compensation. So, political dispensation rather. So Tambuwal said, well, if it was about voting alone that decides Nigeria's election, well, maybe that would be plausible. However, in Nigeria, the elections or the election outcome is not determined by the voters alone. In fact, what happened after people cast their votes determines who is declared winner in Nigeria election. Therefore, their coalition should be seen as the coming together of the good, the bad, and the ugly for common good, whatever that means, right? So that is where we are going to start this evening. And there were other things he said, which we also captured. So thank you so much for joining. Again, share the broadcast if you haven't, already. And let's get started.
It's not completely decided by the electorates. I can say that, and without mincing words. We know quite oftentimes that at coalition level, be it at the polling unit, at the ward level, at local government level, at the state level, or even at the national level, things happen that misrepresent what voters actually voted for.
But then you've benefited from elections, and also you've challenged outcomes of elections.
Yes.
Where exactly is the system breaking down? Is it INEC, is it the courts, or the politicians themselves?
Both. It's a combination of both.
Right.
Politicians, yes. As I said in my earlier remarks, they try to find corners to cut. So wherever there is a loophole, politicians take advantage of that loophole. And INEC, from day one, in terms of the day of the election, be it failure of either beavers or failure of whatever technology, and then inability to transmit, even to start the election on time, and then transmit the results, count the results and transmit them. In between, you find INEC officials being compromised.
So would you support full electronic transmission of results nationwide, even if it costs you or your party victories?
I wholeheartedly support any reform that will improve the electoral process of Nigeria, including electronic transmission. Even if I, assuming I'm going to contest an election in 2027, will lose to that process.
Right.
I don't mind.
But you yourself have changed, you mentioned that at the outset, you've changed political platforms in the past. Many Nigerians see defections as political opportunism. What makes your own decisions different?
Basically, as I said, in 2003, I believe the process was not fair to me. I left and joined the ANPP
But when you say it wasn't fair to you, you mean you lost?
I lost. It was manipulated,
Right.
and I
But
lost.
that's what all the other politicians who switched parties
I am
say.
speaking for myself, and
Right.
that's the truth.
Right.
I lost that unfair process. I tested my popularity, and I won in 2003. In 2007, our political leader, then Bafra Sokoto said, Bafra said, I was not popular enough to run. I said, okay. I potted with one Mokus camp. We tested our popularity, and we won. And then in 2007, I had no issues with the ticket. I remained in PDP. In 2011, I had no issues with the ticket. I remained in PDP. In 2015, I was part of the process of the G5 governors who splitted from PDP
To APC.
to APC, to form the APC. So it was about my conviction, particularly on issues around and about good governance.
Right. In that regard, is party ideology still relevant in Nigeria? Has it ever had any relevance, or are parties now just vehicles for winning power?
For me, I have my doubt on parties being ideologically driven. It's not. I don't believe so. Thus far, most of the parties have been used just as vehicles or conveyor belts.
So in that regard,
to a
you've
particular destination.
used them as well as a vehicle.
I
yourself.
admit that
Right.
that was the issue. It's not about ideology. Okay, if it's about ideology, what was President Muhammadu Buhari doing in APC with some characters that we have in APC? If it was about ideology, what I don't want to mention names, but if you look at President Muhammadu Buhari then, the way he was being perceived, the way he was being viewed, what was he doing with some characters in politics? As of today, in APC and in PDP, in ADC, we still have, what I may describe as political courts of many colors. I mean, people who ordinarily about ideology should not be straight bedfellows. It's not completely.
We have said something like that on this platform severally, okay? And I kind of see him being honest, all right, without being like, dilly-dallying or dancing around the question. Nigerian politics and political parties, especially Nigerian politics, Nigerian political parties, Nigerian politicians are not driven by ideology. And that is why, for those who sometimes listen to them when they are showing up all of this, their promises and all this nonsense, staged, displays all over the place, promising you things that you can begin to, when you begin to put them side by side, then you realize that what exactly is the ideological, brain behind all these parties. So you realize that there's none. He is honest enough to tell you that they all use political parties as a vehicle to power. When you get power, you can decide your ideology then. And yes, you can direct the country to any direction you want, like APC have done, and like all of them have done, by the way. So if they can't have their way here, the right thing to do, if your pursuit of power is very much like, serious, then you have to jump ship. So in that sense, to them in Nigeria, the politicians who are deciding the fate of millions of people, right? They are not driven by any ideology to better your lot, to better your lives, or to even make Nigeria better. It is basically about them. And they are probably the largest, or they are in the majority, so to say. And that's why you have this broken system that continue to pop up these characters as your leaders, state governors, and the rest of them. So like Bokuwari, back then, like a reference, right? Some are now probably asking, what is Peter Obi doing in their midst? In the midst of these spent forces, that is what some people call them. Why you should call them spent forces? That they are old, they are weak, they are spent. They needed this fresh, sort of like a blood of you, the obedience, to probably gain back life and stuff like that. So what is Obi doing with them? Well, same thing. It is the coming together of the good, the bad, the ugly, And as the system continued to present or make the platform more or less like to keep presenting you these half-baked roads, right? So you would have to choose between the devil and the deep blue sea. So it was asked, right, if they are hoping to cash on or what do you call it, the obedient drive like it was in 2023 going to 2027. But what if Peter Obi what if Peter Obi loses the presidential ticket of the ADC? Do they think they can still hold the support of the obedient? Well, his answer is this.
The ADC at the moment.
Well, Charles, you are right by saying that I have been part of the coalition, and there is a possibility of transitioning to ADC. I'm consulting our stakeholders in Sokoto and other stakeholders across the country for us to conclude on that. However, I have said on a program aired by Arise that I don't join issues with Ayufayoshi. Before. I said so before. I still stand on what I've said.
Well, it's not about him, it's about the point he's making.
Then refresh your question and ask me.
Well, let me put it this way then. If the ADC does not field Peter Obi as its presidential candidate in 2027, do you agree with those who say the party will be stuck with spent forces and wouldn't stand a chance?
Well, I don't agree with that. I believe that the leadership of the ADC from the very foundation, from what we've been discussing, one, we agreed that we must have very clear, transparent primary election. And if we have it, whoever emerges, all of us in the coalition will support that candidate. Either Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Rotimi Amechi,
or even yourself.
Well, I'm talking about those who have clearly indicated interest in running.
And of those people, is there anyone that you particularly support?
Well, when we get to that bridge,
well, we are at that bridge.
We are not there yet.
The bridge is this interview.
No. It's not this interview.
Right. Okay.
I have been playing a major role in the coalition.
Right.
So it will be too insensitive for me
I understand
to come out right now and say I'm supporting this or that or that.
I understand.
Yes.
But let me put it another way, because we talked about your political.
So when we get to that bridge, when they get to that bridge, they will cross it. Tambuwal is a slippery politician. He is the guy that thought with a wiki. In fact, he's the guy that broke with a wiki. For real. Turned him to what it but he now sort of like became. Tambuwal was a friend to Wiki for a very long time. In fact, right, Tambuwal himself said in 2019, when he wanted to be governor or something, right, in Sokoto, or for his second term in Sokoto, it was Wiki that supported him when he's already lost all kind of like a ground to go for second term. But upon all of that, he never really asked him for anything, even though we all saw the open betrayal that Wiki suffered in the hand of Tambuwal that evening of the PDP presidential primaries when he stepped down for Atiku and directed all of his supporters or his delegates, even from other states apart from Sokoto, to go on and support Atiku. That broke Wiki to what he's become today. The menace is kind of like a creating or causing right now. Yeah. But yeah, this is what you have to say about him and their relationship, just before I show you something next.
Once ran for president under the banner of the PDP.
Yes.
And it was reported that your main backer for the ticket was Nyesom Wike. Is that a fact?
Yeah, he was backing me very well.
So he's your chum. He's your political buddy. If you
well, he was my partner
at the time.
At that time.
Right. So does that give you a sense of how allegedly meddlesome he can be, given what is going on in Rivers State today, and how difficult things might be for Governor Fubara? Because if you had been successful in your attempt to win the presidential ticket, you actually did very well. You came second, second to Atiku Abubakar.
Yeah.
But if you had been successful, might he have made the same kind of overbearing demands he's reported to be making of Governor Fubara?
Well, let me say this.
In order to sustain his support.
Let me say this possibly for the first time to the public. When I ran the primaries of 2019, I and Governor Yesemuke had not had any pact of he being my running mate. Because it has been
Yes, it's been said that he wanted to be your vice presidential
not at all
candidate.
He never requested that. I must be fair to him. And he never gave me that condition. Or this is what he must take in government, or this is what he must have. So if maybe he's had that with Fubara.
So what was his condition for supporting? I mean, there must have been a reason for supporting.
The reason is that he identified me as someone young and then someone who can do the job. I believe it was about my capacity.
Right.
Not about any opportunism of him coming to manipulate the government if and when we want.
So you're saying publicly and unequivocally that there were no demands from him?
No.
Right, okay. Well, let's leave it at that. Let's turn to the party.
Yeah, let's leave it like that. So, Wiki was so good to him, like on record, it was so good to him that when Sokoto State became bankrupt, like Osun State, they didn't declare Sokoto State bankrupt because there was a back channel funding coming from River State, all tailored towards, because he was going for second term and he was also running for president in PDP then, you get, and Wiki was backing him. That was how much money he pumped in there, building what he called is building the PDP towards 2023, when it will be the turn of the South, and Wiki will be backed by Fubara and others, but he was betrayed. 1.8 trillion naira in total of River State money, right, drowned into Wiki's presidential ambition that spanned like 5 years before everything collapsed in 2023. So, yeah, if Tambuwal is now involved in the supposed, leadership of this new coalition, a coalition that many are already kind of claiming is for Atiku. I mean, that the impression, right? So if Tambuwal is part of that and Bitobi is there, it's kind of like a slippery slope, Abi. I won't speak for you, all right? But here is something. Peter Obi's sort of relevance might be downplayed by those who are yet to actually really recover from what happened in 2023. Again, a lot of them have spent a lot of time downgrading it or downplaying it, but there should always be a reminder, right? Somebody that the establishment laughed at, their supporters laughed at him, and even some non-entities placed a bet that if Obi scored 1 million votes, they should declare him winner. There were others who were like, he won't even win one local government area. Then the tsunami started. With confidence that they've had everything under control, then the shock started happening, that they had to crash their own multi-billion naira electoral technological platform that they wanted to use for this particular election. Suddenly, this what do you call it? Security proof something election results platform, IREF, shut down midday when the election results started coming in. And finally, while they tried to kind of like a mob the numbers from everywhere to declare Tifnubu winner after 1 month. How many days did it take them to declare Tifnubu winner? A whole week, Abi. Anyway, so they declared their Kolu winner, but they couldn't present the results, how he got the number, even up to tomorrow. There is no like any evidence of the numbers of Tifnubu's votes. But finally, not only that, it trounced them in Lagos, trounced them in Abuja, beat them inside the Aso Rock, Aso Villa, Aso Koro, and the rest of all over Abuja. They said, quote, that Obi won 11 states plus Abuja, and Tifku won 12 states. Tifnubu won 12 states. And that's the man that some of these guys will tell you, right, that is below Atiku. I mean, I have kind of tried to reason though, right? Come on, that's actual blasphemy in a way. Somebody will not get platform, will not get all this connection, will not get all this associates. He's got almost none of this establishment behind him. Then